Good evening, everyone. We'll wait another couple of minutes for more students to join, and then we'll start at 6:35.
Good evening. You can see me well, right?
Yes, all good.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll come online when you announce.
Yeah, just a couple of more minutes.
No problem. Hello, Mr. Palit.
Hello, good evening, and
Good evening.
Oh, ma'am.
Good evening, Ambika. How are you?
I am good. How are you, Shweta?
Fine, absolutely.
The girls have been wanting to meet up. So I think the girls have been wanting to meet up.
Yes, we'll discuss this unofficially.
Sure.
Naveed sir, can we start?
I'll mute now and I'll stop.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we start the session? It's
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of the live series at Sunbeam School, Mughalsarai. This is a series of talks which are like an autobiography, but with a twist. Mostly in autobiographies, you never get a chance to interact with the person whose life stories we are reading. But here we have a chance to interact with the person and also to learn live from their lives. So this is the third of the series. We had two others before, and as luck would have it, all the three have been women. But that's...
Are you surprised, Navneet?
No. That's hail to the women power. So with this, I would like to now call upon Shweta ma'am to kindly introduce the speaker of the evening, Ambika Gautam.
Good evening and Jai Hind, everyone. Ambika Gautam is a wife, mother, and a thorough professional, all rolled into one. So hats off to her to be doing it so brilliantly. Her profession over the last 18 years was to recruit the best talent for the industry. After 18 years of recruiting people and being in the industry, she's embarked upon a new venture, the People Network, which is a headhunting organization, and she's the co-founder of the organization. Believe me, her enthusiasm is infectious. We just saw a glimpse of it. And as a woman, she works in a field which is dominated by men and is responsible for recruiting them. So with this, I would like to invite Ambika ma'am to please share about her life and work. Over to you, Ambika ma'am.
Thank you, Shweta, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be doing this. Okay, so I will try and take you through my life journey with a mix of my professional and personal perspectives. So I'm Ambika Gautam, co-founder of a human capital advisory firm. It's called the People Network, which is in today's times is a very modern and progressive consulting firm that provides a holistic approach to talent acquisition in the modern corporate landscape. And I'll try and give you a lot of insights into how executive search and headhunting works. But before that, I'll take you back, in the journey that really led me to be a headhunter, which is which is a very, I think, inspiring and interesting story. I never really had, visualized that this is how my career would really pan out. So I was in Calcutta finishing school, and I had a subject in my class 11th, which was organizational behavior, which is about study of human behavior in the organizational setting. So in particular, I read about a gentleman called Abraham Maslow, who's an American psychologist and who's credited with defining the hierarchy of needs, the human needs. And his theory suggested that people have a variety of basic needs, and they look at fulfilling those needs before they move on to the self-actualization level, wherein you are peaking in your experiences, where your social, emotional, and self-actualizing needs are they come at a later stage after you've really catered to your basic needs, which differ for each individual. And that kind of led me to believe that there are a lot of layers in human psyche. There are a lot of patterns in human behavior, which, when studied well, would go on to define organizational landscapes. So that is what this was. This is what really led me to choose psychology, human psychology, and later industrial psychology for my career. And this also led, in a way, for me to choose executive search, or headhunting, as you call it in common parlance. So, that intrigued me, that sowed the seeds of understanding more about industrial psychology. And that's when I decided to do my majors in psychology from Lady Shri Ram in Delhi University. So these were 3 years of understanding the history of psychology, studying about applied psychology, and later that also, in a way, fostered in me the skills and attributes that I use today, in terms of understanding what level is my candidate operating. So, Maslow's hierarchy, that, what is more important to him is emotional satisfaction, or at what level of his need hierarchy he currently is. And that lets me match that candidate with what the organization is looking for. And why am I telling you, all the students here, is that be open to all kinds of windows that open up in your schooling years. I had never imagined that studying industrial psychology or organizational behavior will lead me to today being a founder of a human consulting firm. So please be very open to all the kinds of ideas, inspirations, or for that matter, in real terms, papers, the subjects that you study. Anything can lead to bigger things in your life. So yeah, that was about LSR, where I did my majors in psychology, and then I definitely continued it with post-graduation with MBA in HR, again, where I studied more about how human behavior is important in creating success stories for organizations, because it's purely the talent that an organization has that leads you to success. So studying dynamics of human behavior, and after I finished my MBA, headhunting happened to me, executive search, and HBS, my first organization, came to campus to recruit. HBS is a global consulting firm that operates in the hospitality industry across the world. So hotels, restaurants, casinos, gaming industries, timeshares, convention centers. Keith Kevshin, who's a very renowned search practitioner, was heading the executive search practice for HBS. And he came to campus and he liked me a lot for executive search. Now at that time, I was at it was a state of dilemma for me, because ideally, as search practitioners across the world, so people are qualified in human resources, and they ideally practice the various formats of HR in their careers. So they understand recruitment, then they understand training, motivation, performance appraisal. So you ideally go through the entire gamut of HR, and that's when you choose search. So ideally, you would see search people in the country or across the world are middle age and above. You will not really see young people coming into search, executive search or recruitment, because you ideally should have been exposed to the various parts of HR, and that's when you willingly choose to use search as your base. But in my case, I was a young 21-year-old girl, and I was interviewed by this American, and he was very insistent that I join his search practice. And he convinced me that this would be an early start for me. This would really help me understand more and more about human psychology, because he could see that how deeply rooted I was in understanding more and more about industrial behavior. He took me with him to New York. He trained me for a good 6 months for various hospitality, operational searches, strategic searches. These were searches like looking for GMs for hotels. We were headhunting for hotel general managers. We were headhunting for expatriate chefs, pastry chefs, continental chefs. We were doing development heads for hotels. So we did a variety of good 6 months. I got trained. And then I moved back to India to be a part of the HVS India practice. And we together created 3 verticals. So one was an international search vertical for India, wherein I worked very closely with the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific searches. And Middle East, why it's important to know, because we were the pioneers of doing the real estate hirings for Dubai. So we worked with the Sheikh of Dubai in the early 2000s to find them. And Indian talent was very much required at that time. We didn't really have so much of racism as perhaps we have now in Middle East against the Indians. But at that time, they were really very appreciative of the Indian talent. So they looked for, they wanted finance people from India. They wanted architects from India. And we did a lot of those international searches. And then we did expatriate searches. So that, again, we were pioneers in that. We did, Oberoi Hotel, let me give you an example. Oberoi Hotel came to us in 2003 and said that, we are looking for a general manager for our Uday Villas, and we want only a German GM. And why German GM? Because then Piaris Oberoi spelled out the whole, that they understand hospitality better. And so those were like, the learning skills, and we did a lot of international searches. So HVS executive search was, I spent 18 years with them. And we, in those 18 years, I think I learned a lot about how Indian hospitality landscape works, how real estate works. And after 18 years, the entire Indian entity of HVS wanted to be, more made in India initiative. And they said that we will no longer be affiliated with the global consulting firm, but we will be called by our Indian name. And that's when Hotelivate was formed, which is again a very new age consulting firm, again works for hospitality industry in terms of doing management contracts, doing owner operator searches. And these are, why am I kind of giving you such details, all of you, is because it's important for you to know that these are also the kind of career choices that each one of us can have, besides the traditional conventional choices that we are aware of. So, you could go to a great hotel school like Cornell. And I mean, when I was in HBS, they did send me to Singapore, Cornell, to kind of get an understanding. So you could go to a great hotel school, Cornell, and be a hospitality consultant, where you are looking at doing feasibility studies for hotels. You're looking at doing valuations for hotels. So there are very this is a very different world, but 20 years that I've spent, it's very enriching, it's very interesting, because it's all about people. So that's why I'm kind of getting into these details for students to know that post 12 there are a variety of areas that you could choose to and then coming back to my journey. So after Hotel Elevate, in 2020, when COVID happened, hospitality really was very, very passive. And I think during those peaceful, boring afternoons, we realized that it was time to create something futuristic in executive search. We had done very traditional, conventional executive searches for various industries for nearly 2 decades, the team. And we realized that let's together create something which is futuristic, which perhaps gives very innovative talent acquisition avenues to newer organizations, like doing short-term assignments, project-based assignments, and also and that led to creating something new. Led to the People Network. So People Network has 3 founders, and 3 of us have each other's back for nearly 2 decades now. So we have our common journey from HBS to Hotel Elevate to the People Networks with Natwar Nagar, Anupama Jaiswal, and myself. And as the People Network, we are looking at talent acquisition needs for our clients. And now we do hospitality, we do real estate, and we also do education, which is a very interesting segment. So we have been instrumental in hiring the academic leader for one of the leading schools in the country, which has been rolled out by one of the leading banks. So we hired an academic leader for them. I have done a lot of principal searches for schools in Bombay, where I headhunted principals, and that was interesting, because I don't think principals really were aware that one fine day they would get a call from an executive search practitioner and say that I know about you, and would you be interested in looking at this another school. So and we are also now doing a lot of technology, education technology related work, where we're looking at product managers who are creating new learning and development products. So like your Byju's, Vedantu, Times Professional Learning. So where you are, we're looking at digital platform to create innovative learning solutions. So yes, People Network has been pretty, I would say, very innovative. We've been very experimental. We are trying to move out of our comfort zone, and we are doing newer sectors. I think it's important that I give you a little understanding about what search is, and what process it follows, so that if I think any one of you decide to take it up, you will perhaps know that years ago you heard this speech. So executive search, headhunting, what we call, is primarily about hiring business critical talent. So what we are talking about is CEOs. We're talking about people in leadership positions. So people who ideally shape the vision of an organization. And the process that we follow is, the first is we define the organizational's role requirement. So we would sit in close collaboration with our client and understand that what are the dynamics involved in this role. Work specifications, breaking it down into finer key responsibilities for that role, and then identifying what are the professional skill sets required, and very, very importantly, what are the personal attributes that are required for that role. So we kind of make the entire blueprint that this is what the role is, and to match this role, these are the skill sets and competencies that are required in that person, which ideally matches with the company's ethos. So this would vary from a hotel company to a real estate developer to a private equity fund. It would differ. The second step is about research and identification. So, where we are making bespoke mapping lists. Now here, this is an interesting career, I would say, attribute also, where we have researchers. So these researchers are specialized in industries. So I have a researcher who really understands hotels well. I have a researcher who understands real estate well. And, they would do a thorough mapping, which nowadays we use a lot of, digital platforms. So LinkedIn is one professional website that we use a lot to connect with people. We also go back to our deep networks that we have, to give you an example. So if I'm looking at an architect who's created a luxury hotel, so a company would come to us and say that I'm looking at creating a luxury hotel in Seychelles, and find me an architect who would do a great job. So I would perhaps go back to my notebook and look at the different architects that I have been in touch with over a period of years, and see if some of them have created hotels in the past, or speak to them. So research is actually a very, very innovative field, a very interesting field. Never a dull day in the life of a researcher, because it's just about reading. They just have to keep reading every day about articles. They have to keep developing their network. And yes, so research and identification. And identification is an important part, because identification actually is done on two parameters. One is about your academic qualification. So what kind of degree do you have? So for an architect, you need to have an architecture degree. To be a project management person, you need a civil engineering degree. Sales and marketing, you would need a post-graduation degree. But academic pedigree is important. It is very well defined in certain cases, where a client would come to us that we would only want people from premier business schools. And that is why it's important for all of you to know that your educational pedigree till class 12 and beyond that is important. I mean, there are times when we think that, where am I going to use this? But no, what you've really done in your undergraduation, in your post-graduation, really is a factor in what job you will get one day. So educational pedigree, and then, the soft skills, which are very important, which perhaps is also about how you've been in your adolescent, in your young years, which are, your communication skills, your relationship building skills, your people management skills. Very important is your conflict resolution skills. So today, how you solve a conflict in, say, in a class fight, also goes on to define how you would do your conflict resolution when you happen to be a functional leader. So, when I am assessing, I really delve deeper into these kinds of deep-seated orientations. I mean, I do have the resume. I know he's done MBA. I know if he's reached the stage, he is qualified. But it is the soft skills. So it is how well you, how much of a foresight you have, what kind of a visionary you are, that, tomorrow, if you are, say, a part of startup, how far can you look? So these are the kind of elements that I look for. Also important is that one important thing that I have now realized and I look for is that all my potential leadership people, that they have got scars and they are willing to admit it. That means that they have made mistakes in their career, And they're today using those mistakes as learning experiences. And it's important, I think, in student life also, we all make mistakes, but you should never be, it should never be brushed under the carpet. Those scars that you have gathered over the years should always be used as learning experiences for yourself and for the team. So these are the kind of, soft skills that a search consultant would look for. And as a candidate, you should be prepared to answer how good you are in, crisis management. What are the kind of management styles that you practice? So basis of all of this, we make like a behavioral and competency consulting matrix. These are very scientifically evolved matrix that we make for each candidate, where their technical competencies, their soft skills are all mapped. And, based on that, we would present that to our candidate. Ideally, it is, a short list of, meeting, say about 20 people, but only 3 make it to the presentation table. And then the client would interview them, would try and match them to their, to the vision that they have, the degree of fitment. So the person who comes the closest to that vision, to that degree of fitment, is ideally chosen. We do help, as a search consultant, we help in successful onboarding, which means that we will help in the exit process of our candidate in his current organization. We would help in that transition stage, successful onboarding, helping him to settle in. We also get involved in a lot of salary negotiations. So that says that we really have to be great with our number skills. So salary negotiations are also an important part of a search consultant. Here, another important aspect is that which is important for I think the world to appreciate, that at this point of time we are also driving a lot of workforce diversity, or say gender equality, because at the end of the day we are the people who are presenting you the sample. And I'll tell you a case where in fact an architect's so this was a very very modern progressive real estate developer who came to me. They were making residential buildings in Bombay, and people who know Bombay know that these residences could cost you anywhere from say 60 crore onwards for say a 3-bedroom flat, 1,300 square feet. And a lot of investment was being given. International design consultants were hired, and this client came to me and said that we had a great brainstorming session, and later he left me with a card and said that, Ambika, I would want to say that try and look for only male architects for me. And I was aghast that in 21st century he's creating this landmark building in Worli, and south of Bombay, and 2 hours of my time. And then he tells me that, I'm only, and I asked him, I said, why would you say so? He says, no, it's a very high pressure job, and a 50-story building. And I really had to put my foot down, and I said that, you tell me that your organization practices gender equality, workforce diversity, and for an important position like this, you're really telling me that you would not entertain a woman candidature? And by the way, I think the best architects that I have seen in the world, and I have really interviewed a lot, have been women. The design aesthetics that they have, the way they perceive something, the vision, the way they really incorporate your vision. And it took me nearly a month to convince this client that at least be open to assessing. She might not make it to the final round, but it should be an equal playing ground. In why. And you wouldn't believe, he ultimately did choose this lady. And today this lady, I have to tell you, she quit that job in 3 years. I think she had enough of that man. She finished that project, and today Gensler is a leading architecture firm. Today she is the CEO of Gensler in Bangalore. Her name is Anupama. She had done some great work in America. She'd done some great work in Dubai, but she was refused this opportunity in India. But she finally made it. So to a great extent, I think that as search practitioners, we are quite instrumental. We are catalysts in creating that balance, workforce diversity. And I think these are the goodness of the role that, we need to remember about headhunting, should any of you choose to do that. This is how you can create a difference in the world. Interview and feedback is the last stage where we help in successful onboarding. We also do great reference checks. All search consultants do. We have to do reference checks for our candidates. As a very modern firm, we also, People Network also does psychometric assessments through different kinds of intelligence battery tests, personality profiling. We also do compensation benefits, and these are all different career choices so we have knowledge experts on board who would study the compensation trends and make reports for that. So yes, that is about executive search, how it is broken down into different. Each search, mind you, takes anywhere between 4 to 6 months if it is a very conducive environment. But there have been times when I have taken nearly a year to close. Why? Because multiple interviews. It is a very people business. It is. We all have to realize that it is a very relative. It's not like sales and marketing that you're given a revenue, you do those many sales calls and you close it. So it's a very people dependent. At any point of time, a client might change his mind. I've had, enough interesting. So I was. There is again an interesting project in Bombay. It's called Maker Mag City, which is a very modern club, retail space, commercial space. They were hiring, they wanted to hire the sports director from Barcelona so that he could, create a great sporting facility for that club that they were making. It took us 4 months to find someone. He came to India with his wife, and he obviously stayed in India, stayed in Bombay for 2 days. And you can imagine somebody who's been in Barcelona, he had worked in Europe and America, and, coming to Bombay and, taking a drive in Bombay. In 2 days, he went back and he called up and said that, Ambika, I'm sorry, my wife is just not ready to move. We don't see any nature. Well, Bombay is difficult, it's a concrete jungle. And he said that there is no, we couldn't, he just said that my wife has put down his foot and she doesn't want to live in Bombay with the flat that we've been given, though he was being given attractive apartment, but he said that she refuses to live in that 2-bedroom. She refuses to live where she can't go for a walk, because yes, you can't really go for those nature walks and everything. So in 6 months, and I had fallen flat on my face, he said no, and I had to restart my search process. So yes, I mean, search is a very it's a very dynamic work career choice. It is very you have to be really patient to be able to see through the entire process of search. But yes, let me tell you the good points, which is very important. So it is, it is pure learning experience. So somebody who's open to learning, because what you learn is any new industry that you work for. I have worked for real estate. I perhaps today know more about real estate than I would have ever known by reading any books. Real estate, hospitality, media, education, e-commerce. So it's, I think, as a career choice, perhaps it's unbeatable when it comes to the learning exposure that it gives you. It's sheer learning. It is, it's very invigorating, because if I were to tell you, like on a daily basis, you meet, nearly every day I'm meeting, say, 5 to 6 new people. So imagine the kind of stimulation that I get. I mean, I meet a legal professional, I meet a finance director, I meet a company secretary, I meet an interior decorator. So because that's my, I need to do those kinds of meetings and interviews. So there's never a dull day in my life. And I look forward to having a Monday because, it is all about people. I'm connecting with people. I am talking to them. I'm being a part of their life. They do share a lot of their life experiences, how their childhood has been, how their young years have been. So I think that is, even if the money wasn't coming, I would still perhaps do it because it's plain simple, stimulating environment as, which I think no university or no school can ever give me. So yes, somebody who's open to these kinds of learnings, even in, later years of their life, should really choose executive search. Also about the networks that you create. You would have reach to to the CEOs of the world. You will have reached to a hotel GM. I mean, there have been times when I've gone to a hotel to stay, and the GM was placed by me nearly a decade ago, and to know that yes, he's there, and to meet up with him, it's such a, it's a great feeling. For him to. I went to Bhutan 2 years ago, and you wouldn't imagine. One of the resorts that I stayed in, I had not known, was one of the GMs that I had interacted nearly 15 years ago, and he had worked in Calcutta, and it was such a pleasure to see him. So the kind of networking that you create is, again, it's bliss. It's pure bliss about, and I think one of yes. The pure choice of to be able to nurture people's careers. And I'll tell you, this never came to me, but interestingly, when my daughter was, I think, around 7 years ago, she commented to me. I think I'd closed one very difficult search, and I was just talking to her, and she just said that, Mama, you bring so much of, let me remember you bring so much of happiness and peace in people's lives. And I was very surprised coming from a 7-year-old, and I said that, yes, this gentleman is happy. He's, she says, no, Mama, if you really think about it, you've got him a job that is the next big thing for him. You've definitely got him more money, which I'm sure he will use for his family and for his children. And this is how he's moving on in his life. And that's when I realized that, yes, I mean, I had never really seen search in that way, that yes, I'm, in pure, simple happiness terms. But yes, now when she told me, and I remember it every single time I close a search, that imagine the kind of happiness that you're bringing to people because you're giving them a brighter career choice. They are definitely making more money. They are more satisfied in their professional careers. So yes, I think these are the goodnesses that this career choice gives you. And yes, yes, a note of caution. If anyone of you choose to do this, see, this is a very, it requires a lot of patience. It is not a very fast-paced career choice. So, and that is why probably you'll see a lot of women choosing to be headhunters, because it's a very peaceful, serene environment. It does have its pressures, but it's peaceful. You are identifying people, you're interviewing them, you're assessing them, and the whole process. It's a very how do I say it? It is a very serene environment. If you want to be in a very fast-paced business landscape, it is not for you. But if you want to create a work-life balance in terms of your professional aspirations and your commitment towards family life, and that is why I say a lot of women choose that. This is the best thing to happen. You can, today I'm a co-founder at a young age of 40. And I have been involved completely in raising my daughter. In fact, I decided to work from when my daughter was born. It's been 12 years. yes, I mean, I'm thankful that my organizations did let me do that. It has been a very liberating environment where they let me choose my priorities, and where I could also commit myself to my professional aspirations. So, um, if in today's times you talk about work-life integration, work-life balance, which is, I think, important. If it, one person out of the couple, I'm not saying a woman, I mean, it could be a man choosing this as well. But yes, I mean, between a husband and wife, it is important that at least one of them has a more work-life integrated role, where you could be completely involved in taking care of your house, of your children, because they see a lot. Children, as I said, my daughter, I mean, I never knew that 6 years she was really observing what I was doing. So they do see a lot, and it is, I think, important for children to have a happy childhood, to see very content, happy families, and that is why I think work-life balance is important. Yes. So yes, I think that's about it. Free flowing. I don't know how much how much I made sense, but I hope I did, and I hope I'm able to at least inspire one of these students to choose executive search, human resource practice in their careers.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Ambika. I think it's
welcome.
a very interesting talk, because as a headhunter organization, you've also opened up avenues for people who like to do scientific research.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
people can do scientific research, and instead of just being in pure sciences, they can use that scientific research. They can use technology. So people who are
yes,
interested in
definitely.
technology can be part of it, and even
Definitely.
specialists from different fields. So they are you could be architect, you could be someone who is in hotel management or something.
That's right.
So it's actually a very large bouquet of careers that come together in this.
Yes. In
In
fact, Navneet, to add to that, if you really see the trajectory of the leading search firms, we are perhaps an oddity, because I was, as I said, I didn't really belong to a hotel school, but they still chose me to do hotel searches. But ideally, if you see across the world, all these very modern search firms, what they do is, for each of their search practice, they get a domain expert. So if they have a search practice for banking, somebody who is leading that search practice, somebody who's a headhunter now for them, has really spent years in banking, BFSI banking, has understood that function, and then now has chosen to be a search consultant. So, there is that option also, where you practice what you want, and say maybe 15 years later, you decide to really use that learning to be a search practitioner. So there is that there is that perspective also to search firms.
So like your daughter said, you are bringing peace and joy. I was listening to you. I thought maybe you are someone who's enabling other people's dreams.
Yes, you're right.
You are an
Very
enabler
right.
of
Yes.
people's dreams.
Yes.
So now we have with us a lot of students who are maybe a couple of years older than your daughter.
Okay.
Okay. But
Yes.
my question to you would be that, as an enabler of others' dreams, what is the advice you give to your own daughter, and likewise to the students in this, to help them enable their dream?
Okay. So she I think she sees me struggle, if I can use that word, nearly every day with my work, with raising her, with housekeeping duties. And if I can say that she at this age does realize that that work-life balance in reality is a very elusive concept. So what I'm trying to say, that she she does realize that my family is important to me, but my work is equally important. My work is what really drives me, which keeps me, um, which is what I am, what makes me, what keeps me spirited, and um, to be able to appreciate that. So she does know. I think at this young age, she has been able to decode this um, decode this reality that my mother is my mother. She's also the housekeeper in so many ways, but but her work is equally important, and her work is what drives her. Her work is what keeps her motivated, and her work is also that um, keeps her happy. So today, if I am a happy mother, is because I have been able to go to work every day. I am not resentful. I do not feel that I have sacrificed a lot in, having a child and raising her. I've not given up on my dreams. So she does know um, that my work is important. I'm equally driven to do the work, but I am also trying to balance. So, it is, I don't know if I'm able to make sense, but, tomorrow when she grows up, when she has a family, I think she'll be better able to strike a balance between the career that she will choose and the children that she will have. I can say that. Also, I'll tell you an example. My husband keeps a very different kind of a career. That it's a very high demand role where he's not really available some of the times. And Arna definitely in the initial years used to aspire. He's a commercial pilot, so she wanted to be a pilot in her initial years. But one day, I think, I don't know what came to her mind, and she said that, Mama, I definitely want to be a pilot, but I think I will be a headhunter. So I said, why? And she said that so that I can be around my children more often. You do a great job with your career. I write a lot. So she's seen me that I release reports. You have a career, and because you work from home, you can pursue your other passions, and you're around me most of the time. So I think maybe now I will choose to be a headhunter. So that says it all. She might be a pilot for all I know, or she might choose another high, a very stressful. But still, I think somewhere down the line, she will know how to not even work-life balance, but work-life integration. How to be able to integrate the two things. And the second thing, I think, what I bring onto the table is the importance of learning. She sees me talk with candidates. So see, today, if I am interviewing an architect, I also have to be really, really informed about what points I can really assess an architect. Imagine, somebody who's studied architecture, who's worked in, who has a work experience of about 20 years, I'm sitting across the table and I'm interviewing him. Imagine the kind of learning or reading I need to do to be able to interview him. And she sees that. She sees that I'll tell you an interesting search that I did a couple of years, which was for Aisha, and we did they wanted somebody for engine design, a bus engine design. And I had to really read a lot about automotive industry. Then they came to us and they did somebody at that time, I'm talking about early 2000s, GPS, ahead of GPS, global positioning. At that time, the maps weren't really, I think, fully. And I didn't even know what GPS was at that time, but I had to. So I think the emphasis on learning, and it is not only about the speeches that I give her, but she can see that how important it is to be delving deeper into any subject that interests you. So today, if she's interested in Indus Valley civilization, she researches a lot, just because she understands that what research brings onto the table. So I think these are the two main takeaways that Arna would have really taken from my job. That how important education, how important learning in real sense is, and work-life integration. Yes. And how to really, in some ways fight for equality of all kinds. I can't stress enough how, workforce diversity, there are times when they are, um, it's shameful, but there have been times when when clients have told us that, we are not open to Muslim candidatures. Imagine in today's world. And we have put our foot down and said that, no, we will not do that search if you have. So, to be able to make these differences. Oh, yes, another one. I remember this one again is related to a woman, a bright woman, 32 years of age, perfect fitment to what this client had in mind. And after he decided on hiring her, he comes back to me and said that, Ambika, there's something that I want to talk to you about, this lady. Tell me, what are her baby plans? So I said, baby plans? He says, yes, we do know that she's married, but she doesn't have any child. And I'm sure she will soon start to plan. I do not want to hire somebody who comes on board and then just goes on a maternity leave. So I would want to know what are her plans, and if you know what are her plans, and I would want to postpone them. I would want her to really be committed to the role that I have for good 3 years and then plan a baby. And I like, really, I mean, you are not really appreciating the professional skill sets that she brings onto the board. But what you're worried about, that what if she plans a baby? Well, she's married. She has all the right to plan a baby whenever she wishes to. You have to give her maternity leave because that's part of the industrial labor laws. And that is it. I am not going to go back and tell her that, listen, are you planning a baby? And if you are, please hold on to your plans or do it after 3 years, because this gentleman would not want you to have. So to be able to, and it did happen that I made the client give it in writing that they would not influence her baby timing. And she also made sure, she was aghast that, really, this is what they signed, that, you could choose to have a baby anytime you want. We would give you a maternity leave of 6 weeks. So, of 6 months. So these kinds of, I think, small changes, which I think in today's world are important for us to stand for: gender equality, workforce diversity, freedom to women to be able to have children whenever they want to, and not be determined by, not be threatened that I will not give you a job because, you want to have a child. So I think these kinds of, it empowers Arna in certain ways, makes her more strong in today's world to be able to hold her own in a man's world. Yes.
So, I mean, I have a question from two students, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to combine the two because I find a little bit of a correlation between them.
Okay.
The first one being, in this modern era, how do we become confident to give success to the path of a career? And the second one being that how hard it was for you to manage your time. But that whole, I think the whole idea of confidence and the whole management of your time comes from your passion and your interest in the learning, as you are saying. So that's why I thought maybe I combined the two and you could take this question. And
so I'll tell you, I think, and it might sound very cliche, but, if you love what you do, if you love the job, and I will really tell you that I have been blessed. I mean, 21 years ago, when Keith Kevshin approached me for search practice, I had really not imagined that this is how, this is how my life would carve out to be. And this is how I would love search. This is how, it would become a part of my life. So I was really blessed to have, found a career 21 years ago that defines me today, that, makes me happy and content. So I think a lot of that confidence, a lot of your time management skills, or any other, challenges that you face in today's world, which are many, I think a lot of them really get sorted if you love what you do. Because, there is a correlation, because if you love what you do, you really perform well. And your bosses, if I can say that, in the initial years, also then realize that, you do deliver. They are not trying to micromanage you. They are not trying to, they're not trying to really breathe down your neck. So I think a lot of it, the confidence, the time management skills just falls naturally. Like, to give you a normal example in my day-to-day life, if I have to, suppose I'm writing a report which I need to deliver, and I also have to attend Arna's, school commitments. If I take the first half off, I will happily come back, maybe take my second half also off, because, there are certain housekeeping duties that I've missed. And then probably sit in the evening from say 5 till 9 and not really feel bogged down or bothered about it that, 5:30 the office gets over, why am I sitting? So, a lot of it, believe me, in a professional career, if you love what you do, a lot of problems will just fall in place, and it is very seamless, because the organization that you work for realizes that you deliver, that you are exceptional, and they value you, and that is why they also start to appreciate that you do have a life beyond work, and they start to give you, it's a very liberating environment there. So yes, I think to be able to find that career choice that you will be passionate about is the key.
Thank you very much, Ambika. I mean, you've given us so much. You've told us that we should be inquisitive all our lives. We should be open to opportunities.
Yes.
And also so many career options that you've shared with us. Just in the interest of the audience, because Ambika mentioned that her husband is a pilot. He's a pilot who flies long distance international flights, which is like 16, 18-hour flights. And then he's gone for a week.
Yes.
And then when he comes back, he's there for a week. So, so it's also very interesting situation at home, because you have someone who travels all that. So I think you're doing a very fine job of doing this balancing and bringing up your lovely daughter, who I have the privilege of being a friend of. With this, I would like to request Palit sir, the principal of Sunbeam School, Mughalsarai, to propose the vote of thanks and close the session for the day. And I do hope that you will share some more insights with us, because some more students might get excited about what you've just shared.
Sure, yes.
And you will come back and spend some more time with our school. And when you are in Varanasi, please do visit our school.
I will, this time for sure.
Over to you, Palit sir.
Yeah, thank you, Navneet sir. It was nice listening to Ambika ma'am today. I was just thinking that what not you have touched in your this career, which you mentioned. So every aspect of the career, you have done it for the retail industry, hotels, education, industries, and hiring people from the various areas. Two very interesting things which you shared with us. I believe that everyone will take a note of that one. The first one is that work-life balance, that is very important today, and work-life integration. So when we talk about the work-life integration, it has a lot of meaning for every working people. And the students, those who are listening to us today, and they are the part of the audience team today, I think when they will grow up, they will be facing or they will be preparing themselves in a much better way, how they will be integrating their work and their life, and that will create a balance for them. So Ambika ma'am, you are something which everybody here would be interested to listen more and more. And you mentioned also that you have penned down some books and something which you are always busy. You keep yourself busy in writing it down. So I will request Navneet sir to, if you can share with us how we can read more about Ambika ma'am's, the creative ideas and the thoughts which are there.
So these
Madam,
are actually not really books, sir. These are, hospitality articles, but
okay.
very interesting. So,
Yes.
say in COVID, how the restaurant industry was trying to cope up
Okay.
with, the lockdown scenario, or, how poaching happens. Poaching is ideally, how
Yes.
poaching between different industries happen. So yeah, I mean, human psychology related articles, but they're primarily hospitality and real estate based. But yes, I mean, if anybody wants to read, I can definitely give the links out. And
Yes. So we'll be very much interested to read all those articles which are written.
Sure.
You touched my question. Actually, I have a question in mind, and I think you are the right person. For the last 1.5 years, close to 2 years, we are going through a very unforeseen situation, that is the pandemic.
Correct.
And during the pandemic, we have seen that the people, they have lost their jobs. And during this time, there were some crises with the industries also, or maybe with the various sectors also. And during this time, you have come across a lot of people, those who might be thinking that what other alternative job opportunities are possible.
That's right, yes.
So can you just share your experiences during these 2 years of the pandemic? How
sure.
you...
So there were different ways in which we tried to salvage the situation in true terms for the hospitality industry and the restaurant industry. There were one way was outplacement, which is the people who lost their jobs in hotels, how they could how they could have been used for different industries. So people ideally who work for hotels are the people skills. Those are the most important. So their people management skills, their soft skills are really evolved, developed. So how they could be, say, used for banking sector in terms of their front office, or how they could be used. Airline industry was also going through, but airline industry was fairly open to hiring some of these hotel professionals. Some of them went ahead and became idea incubators. So there were a lot of these startup funds which were ready to set up, say, cloud kitchens, or so a lot of these people who had their own restaurants which were shut down had this entire understanding about how a restaurant would really function. So they went on as advisors for these kinds of cloud kitchens. So one was that. Other was which is now coming into picture, which is like making people available for project-based assignments. So hotels are now opening up. They did lose a lot of talent during lockdown. So the hotels which are now opening up are now open to hiring people. They've lost their old staff. Yeah. So how, making people move from closed properties to the ones that are now trying to open. So doing that project-based assignment where they would just come as pre-opening team, they would help you set up your, reopen your hotel and then probably move. Also, short-term assignments, I'll give you an example. Just 2 days ago, we had a call from a gentleman called Omar Tugubala, who heads the Khyber resort in Kashmir. It's a ski resort. And now, because the international travel is not possible, I think 80% of India, the ones that can afford, are really going to Kashmir for holidays. And he he said that, you know, the bare minimum staff that I have cannot really support the kind of people tourism that we are now getting in Kashmir, and I would want to hire people for the season, hospitality season, for say 6 months, 8 months. So trying and identifying those people who have lost their jobs but who can do these, you know, who can support that resort that's opening up. So it's you know, it's a win-win situation. So these are the kind of practices that we try to do during lockdown. You know, a lot of brainstorming went into it. You know, innovative ways. So project-based hirings, seasonal hirings, making them move to another industry. FMCG was something that was not really affected. And FMCG, fortunately, was open to hiring a lot of people from hotels because, as I said, their soft skills are very evolved. So say a sales director from a luxury hotel found a job with Marico. So yes, trying to do those kinds of hiring. So we did a lot of brainstorming, and that is why I said that, you know, search becomes interesting in these ways, where you are trying to match talent with opportunity. You know, if you really say it's simply that, you know, you're trying to match the talent with the opportunity. So yeah, I think these 1.5 years we tried to do that.
That's great, man.
Yes.
Fine. So I think you have, because whatever you have shared just now with us. So again, I will go to the audience here. Many of the audience members are the students, and probably some parents are there with us. So the essence of the last part, which Ambika ma'am shared with us, difficulties will come, problems will be there, but the challenges we can overcome. And the industry is always open for looking up the people, those who have the talent. So the talent is the key word. So children, look into this one, that develop your soft skills, develop your abilities, develop your strength. So all these things will be in high demands in the future. The world is becoming definitely competitive, but if you prepare yourself for the future days, and when you have such a wonderful lady with us, Ambika ma'am, giving you a lot of ideas, lot of insights into how you grow up. As madam has shared with us that she started with the psychology, and from there she went to an MBA college, and from there she went to New York for training. So all these long experiences working with a lot of people and going to good institution, that has helped her to shape up her company. We are very thankful to Navneet sir to get Ambika ma'am with us today, and we look forward, madam, that next time when you visit Varanasi, you are in our campus. So we cordially invite to our campus, and thank you so much for coming over here. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much for your kind words.
Yes,
I'll come for a cup of tea.
Sure, definitely. The cup of tea is always ready for you. You are always welcome. Nice. Over to Navneet sir.
Thank you very much, Palit sir. Thank you, students, for joining. Thank you, Shweta ma'am. And thank you to the team that's organized this. For the students, there will be a takeaway form so that you can remind yourself of the learnings from this great interaction that we have had. Please take the opportunity and write down your learnings so that you can constantly revisit. Like Ambika ma'am was saying, she's always looking up her diaries and past records. You will have this opportunity to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ambika. Thank you,
Thank you.
Navneet sir. Thank you, Palit sir, and thank you to all the children. It has been a great pleasure, I mean, being here on the forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Next time you have to come to school.
Yes, I will. And yes, I mean, I'm open to any, any query or any question that anybody might have, after they've thought about what we've spoken about. So feel free. They can reach out to me anytime, career counseling, in terms of, what are the different avenues in hospitality, real estate, how you can weave together different kinds of learnings or courses. I'll be more than happy to do that. So yes, Navneet, you have my details. So, they can send me an email. They could talk to me. anything, I'm available.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.